Hey everybody, please like, subscribe, share. This is about financial freedom. Right now, I'm in the process of paying down my debt with the intention that I want to save and I want to invest, which is something that I've never done in the past. All I've ever done really is pay down debt, never with the intention of saving and investing. Obviously, this is a process. So in between, until I can tell you more about update, because it takes time to generate money to pay off debt, I'm going to be reading material or sharing things that relate to being successful financially in some type of ways. So for this first endeavor, I've decided to pick Curtis Jackson. I'm going to read this book. I'll probably come at you every 2 weeks. It's Curtis Jackson, Hustle Harder, Hustle Smarter. And it has a little intro, and I really like this book. And I really like 50 cents, so it just works for me. He dedicates the book to his mother and then some other people. And then in the introduction, it kind of breaks down what all the chapters are going to be about, which I think is nice. And it lets you a little bit in on him too. And then once you get out of the introduction, and I'm just going to go over the first 3 chapters. With the beginning of every chapter, there's a little quote. So for the first chapter, Finding Fearlessness, I wouldn't give a thinker's damn for a man who isn't something afraid. Fear's the spice that makes it interesting to go ahead. Daniel Boone. So finding your fearlessness. And I think in here is where he I have some things highlighted, so I'll read them. The difference is I refuse to allow myself to grow comfortable in those fears. Comfort, I've learned, is a dream killer. It saps out ambition and blinds our vision and promotes complacency. So he's just saying it's fine to be uncomfortable because that is saying that you're not going to be fearful because you're okay with being uncomfortable, because part of getting ahead is change, and change is uncomfortable. It's not death that a man should fear, but he should fear never be beginning to live. And then what's another thing? The seed of fearlessness that allows me to accept that what lives on the outside of fear isn't danger or even death, but freedom. What lives on the other side of fear. Something like that. Don't be afraid to get hit. It was more than I didn't like having my success ride on someone else's ability of performance. So I think this is the part where the gym. So when 50 was young, he went to this gym. There was a guy there that was his mentor. Obviously, he was a 12-year-old boy that was 150 pounds. He wasn't very big. And that was his introduction to fear, and that was okay to be afraid. And that there's something about going in the ring, having a little fear in you that makes you perform a little better too, as a boxer. So it kind of goes in here about a story about where he's at the gym, and the gym's not very updated, and somebody comes in and they have a conversation and nobody says anything, and 50 says something, and the next thing you know, the guy sponsors the gym, and then the gym gets new equipment and those kind of things. And even though it was just another example of fear, it'd be easier to not say anything because you feel safe than sometimes when you say things you don't feel safe, but that's kind of how you get ahead, because you're stepping into your uncomfortable. It doesn't mean you're going to succeed or fail. It just means you're getting uncomfortable. You are creating a little fear, and you have to be comfortable with that fear and still be able to talk, move, respond, or box, whatever the situation might be. So another thing that they did a lot is 50 always seemed, because he was young, seemed to fight people that were bigger than him. And that kind of helped him when he was boxing, helped him conquer fear too, because then he wasn't intimidated by just the size of somebody. Here it says, when fear interrupts your routine or makes you rethink it in any way, it's gotten its hook deep in you, and this can hold you back forever. So you can't let fear stop you. And I think in here it also talks about when he got shot, he noticed, like thought he saw someone like across the street watching him exercise as he was rehabilitating himself in his old neighborhood. And then he was like, no, like, I'm not going to be afraid of that. I'm still going to go out and jog and do what I need to do. And then he invited his friends, to come and jog with him in the morning because he didn't want to stop his routine. And one of his friends showed up and they went jogging, but his friend rode on a bike because nobody's as fit as 50. So he talks about that too, like how you have to overcome fear, like at so many different times in your life. Like he's 20 something then. He was 12 when he was first encountering it, in the boxing arena. And then let's see what else it says in this chapter. Raise your hand. Being fearful can trip you up in so many ways in both your professional and personal lives. That's why it's so critical that you identify the things that you're afraid of and put in the work to get past that fear. In your personal life, letting go of all the baggage will be such a relief. You won't know how heavy the load you've been carrying around all these years has been until you finally put it down once and for all. The moment you do, you're going to feel nothing but freedom. And he says, part of like letting go of fear as something that holds you back is gaining freedom in your life to move ahead. So I really like that chapter. Then the next chapter was Heart of a Hustler. And I'm just going to read the little quote. It's an anonymous quote. Things may come to those who wait, but only the things left by those who hustle. So Heart of a Hustler, like part of that is outworking your competition. That's hustling. It has been a very long story of hard work and personal sacrifice. Like when you overcome obstacles, those are the things that are required. It isn't just luck and fame. It's hard work, sacrifice. That's how you get ahead. A strong work ethic is the one trait all successful people share. This is why a lot of people who work with me compare me to a robot or a machine. I'm made of flesh and blood, just like everyone else, but I want it more. Plenty of people might be willing to outperform, or even outsmart me, but no one, and I mean no one, is ever going to outwork me. Commit to a clean lifestyle. And he's saying this is how he outworks people. He outworks people because he is committed to a clean lifestyle. He eats healthy. He's low on carbohydrates, high on protein, maybe fat. I don't know if he's like, I know he doesn't do a lot of carbs or fast food or food that's prepackaged. If you want to commit to lifestyle choices that allow you to have the energy, focus, and stamina to actually do the work too. So many people prioritize lifestyle over work and then wonder why they can't get ahead. And he's just saying you have to choose your hustle over your lifestyle, and you have to change your lifestyle to a life that allows you to out-hustle people. And he does it by diet. He doesn't indulge in alcohol. He doesn't do drugs. That's how he out-hustles people. Even when he's in environments where everybody's doing that, he might have one drink, but that's it. That's never an issue for me. I've always had my head on straight and my judgment is never impaired. I can see issues coming from a mile away and be long gone before a situation gets serious. There is a lot of evidence out there that alcoholism is hereditary, and if it seems to run in your family, sticking with ginger ale might not just be about getting a competitive edge. It might be about keeping yourself out of a lifelong state of dysfunction and addiction. Because he's saying, like, I don't drink, and I hang around with a lot of people that drink, but I don't do it because I'm still trying to get somewhere in life, and I don't want anything to cloud my judgment. And he likes to hang out. He likes to go to the clubs, but he also realized those are areas where you need to be more alert. You can't just be a sloppy drunk in those areas. And so that's what he does. Like, he might have a drink and then he'll fill his champagne bottle up with a non-alcoholic product and still sip off of it, but he's not drinking liquor anymore. If you're a true creator, you have to be able to practice your craft in any situation. No matter what situation or setting you find yourself in, you won't ever want to depend on anything or any other person to make you feel in control and comfortable. That sense of confidence should always come from within, not from an external source. And he's just saying, don't be one of those people that only feel like I can produce something if I'm high. I can produce this if I have a little alcohol in me. Like, you can do things irrelevant. You should be able to perform your craft or your art with a clear mind. This way you're always able to reproduce and create more of your craft or your art, whatever it is. I'm always on my most comfortable when I am in complete control of my surroundings, and that's very hard to do when you're high. Working out is not only good for my health, but it's a critical business tool as well. So obviously, he does a lot of marketing, and the better you look, the easier it is to go into that world and into the acting world. So it is super beneficial for him. A lot of the steps I'm prescribing in this chapter, sobriety, working out, eating right, and getting enough sleep, can feel very daunting if they're not currently part of your life. That's a conversation that's going to be more productive as at the 30-day threshold than a day one. Whatever it is you want to improve or correct, commit to it for 30 days. See how it changes your perspective. Give yourself the opportunity to identify with something different. You're going to find that some of the things that you couldn't live without were actually standing between you and your best life. And he's saying, like, whenever you make life changes to have a better lifestyle, just practice eliminating something that is not great for you for 30 days at a time, and then realize how much you don't even need that substance, whatever it is, your substance, person, whatever in your life. Finding your focus. Let's see what he says here. Then consider the distractions that are probably keeping you from hustling your hardest right now. Bullshitting on social media, arguing with your boyfriend, feeling like you need to roll up a blunt, sleeping late because you were out drinking the night before. Like these kind of things, if you're constantly living a life where you're having these kind of battles in your life, that's gonna not make your focus great. And if you don't have a focus, you really are not gonna be productive with your hustle. Passion makes perfect. Everybody on the set has to share the same passion for the project. Like when he does things, if everybody's not committed, he's not doing it. This might sound dramatic, but the level of commitment is often what it takes. And he learned that from, he was, I think he was doing something with, was it Al Pacino? Robert De Niro. He was doing something with Robert De Niro, or he was going to do a project with Robert De Niro. Robert De Niro signed on, but then he didn't end up doing it because he had another obligation that it interfered with. But before he would even sign on, he wanted to know who was all part of the cast. And then he wanted to make sure that everybody that was a part of that cast was committed, because he only wants to be involved with projects where everybody's committed, because that's how you get the best result. And so he learned from that, like that's how he picks people too. Just the people that he picks for roles, or, wants to bless with an opportunity with, you just have to be 100% committed to that project. Otherwise, 50 is not going to back you. What are you hustling for? And it has this little thing. For him, he's hustling for freedom. That's what his competitiveness is. It sets him free. What I was hustling for and what I'm still hustling for today is freedom. Just one of the quotes in here. I say my biggest goal now is to give back. When you reach a certain pay grade, you become more conscious of what's happening back in the community that you come from. So he's like saying, he's very successful. He's got a lot of ends coming in. And at some point in your life, you're busy like investing in yourself. And then there's a turning point for you where you start to really focus on investing in your community and others. And that's where he's at in life. It might sound out of character for me, but I believe vision boards are a very powerful tool in clarifying what you're working towards. And when you focus yourself to articulate your vision in words, you set a powerful, sorry, I'm going to pause this for a second. It's my husband. Sorry, we got cut off. I had to pause for a minute, but I'll just pick up with the whole little paragraph that I've highlighted. It might sound out of character for me, but I believe vision boards are a very powerful tool in clarifying what you're working towards. When you focus yourself to articulate your vision in words, you set a powerful energy in motion. You give something that was just a thought, or maybe just even a feeling, a real presence in the world, and you make it a real thing. So he believes in journaling, writing things down, vision boards, all that kind of stuff to keep yourself focused on your bigger objectives. I've seen vision boards make a real difference in people's lives. And the status back. Okay, I'm sorry. I've seen vision boards make a real difference in people's lives, and the stats back me up. A study by Dominican University found that you're 42 times more likely to achieve your goals if you write them down, and study in Psychology Bulletin found that people are 90% more likely to achieve goals that are challenging and specific. So writing, not just saying I want to be a millionaire, but writing down the steps on how you want to accomplish that, being specific, is what will get you to whatever goal that it is that you have. And then never break your stride. So this in here he kind of talks a little bit about like when people encounter setbacks or have conflict or problems, sometimes the best thing is just to go to the next one, or just keep it moving. Or you can't resolve everything, but you have to be smart enough to know when to let things go. I'll get it back on the next one, and you'll wind up one of the three ways: broke, dead, or locked up. You have to have a mentality like what he's talking about is, let me read it better. I'll get it back on the next one, or you'll wind up one of three ways: broke, dead, or locked up. And what he's talking about, like there are times in your life where people are going to cheat you and out of something, or change the deal at the very last minute. Now you can renegotiate at that time if you feel like that's what you want to do, but the reality is that setback could be an end dealer, especially in the streets, he was saying, because the right thing to do is, like, you can't, if you're really still trying to reach a goal, if you're really still trying to do something, don't get caught up on this one more person that shorted you or cheated you. Like, just get it back on the next one, on the next deal, on the next hustle, on the next transaction that you're going to have, because some things just count them as a loss. Don't keep trying to recreate that perfect situation or the original deal. If you know you're not going to get it, you're not going to get it. That's just how it is. If you borrow somebody $50 and they never pay you back, you can't keep hustling that $50 out of them. You just have to know to not borrow them $50 anymore and go about your business. Here he talks about this in a different way, but if you read the book, then you would get it. And kind of talks about being resilient. And then the example is, how does that really compare to overhearing your single mother say, damn? I don't know. I think I don't know, what he's talking about here is there's an advantage to having a hard come up in life. It makes you more resilient. Like if your family is struggling to keep on lights and you live through that, there's something about that. Then when you become successful, that usually can make you, as long as you're, living a certain type of life and you're focused and you have a vision and a purpose, and you have a good lifestyle, that makes you more resilient and makes you try harder. And then the other example is like having an eviction notice makes you more resilient. Having to fear ISIS makes you more resilient. When you spend your childhood worrying about certain things, it just makes you more resilient, and it did for him. And he also had the tragic loss of his mother that made him more resilient. And it makes you more comfortable, like with adversity, like things not going right, and letting go and moving on to the next one, when you've not always had a silver spoon in your mouth. And in this situation, I think he was saying, there are certain people that just have it very easy in life, and they go to Hartford, and they're in families that just hook them up with a job and a career, and they're in these boardroom meetings and everything's going great for them. But he's saying there's something so powerful about somebody that's in that environment that is resilient, because it wasn't all given to them, and it makes them more more driven and have more purpose and more focus, and gives them a lot more confidence in those situations to speak up and be creative and share ideas. So, but you have to read it, but I think that's kind of where that was going to. And then he talks about when you have this type of mentality, it actually will help you do well in the corporate world of America. And he has examples like Puffy, Jay-Z, Nas, that also have come up a certain way and are very successful in these environments. And then he also says here, like, don't ever feel so super comfortable with yourself either, because, looking kind of crazy, because even when you feel like you've been through it all, there's always still going to be something else that you have to go through, no matter what level you're at in life, if you're still always trying to attain a higher level. And to have that sort of resilience and positive outlook, but without having to go through the heartbreaks and violence I experienced to move like this, the type of hustler 50 Cent used to be, but in the type of setting Curtis Jackson is now in. He's just saying, like, not that there's two people of him, but 50 Cent is the rapper, he's the street person, he's the hustler, he was the drug dealer. Curtis Jackson is the professional in the corporate world that is making business deals, creating movies, producing films, hiring actors and actresses and musicians and artists to create material. And he does it because he has this certain upbringing, but then he also has used that upbringing and the knowledge that it gave him in the corporate world, which makes him pretty tough. And he's saying in the chapter 2, there's other people just like him that have done it also. And I already mentioned their names. Trust your instincts. Even if they end up retaining what you've been taught, you're still learning to rely on instructions rather than intuition. A business professional might have some good tips, but nothing he or she can teach will ever outweigh simply listening to your own instincts. And he's saying, like, there's a certain point in your life where your advisors may not be advising you on the best things for you. So trust your instincts in every situation. It's very important that you have something similar in your own arsenal. Some people can access that state through taking a walk in the park or gardening or even painting. Whatever it is, you have to incorporate some activity in your lifestyle that allows you to disconnect from the noise of both the past and the present and reconnect with whatever you're feeling is in your gut in that moment. And I think he was talking about you have to continuously create peace for yourself so that you can make sound business decisions. And then he says, part of, having the heart of a hustler is that anything that you are passionate about, those are the things that you've done your homework on, like your own homework on, like read materials about it, watched tutorials about it. Just, you have to be knowledgeable in your craft or whatever you think your next step will be. And at the end of chapter 2 is, at the end of the day, I like betting on some things. I like betting on some things, but the only sure thing you can always count on 100% of the time is yourself. So in here it says, he talks a little bit about gambling, like he's not really a gambler because he doesn't like to take that type of risk. Just like with sports, he wasn't like a team sport player. He was a boxer. He likes depending on himself, on his instinct, on his gut, on his fearlessness, on his comfort with fear, and you can't bet very well when you're it's a bigger challenge to bet on 12, 5, 6 people playing as a team to do something than it is to bet on this one person trying to do something, so for him, it's boxing, the sport that he's into. But it could be track, ultimate fighting, whatever that is for you. Constructing your crew. This is chapter 3. If you don't have the right people around you, you're moving at 1,000,000 miles an hour. You can lose yourself. David Chappelle. So here it was just stating, like, that the greatest skill you'll ever have is being in tune with the judgment of somebody's character that you're going to work with, or that you're involved with, or that you're in a relationship with, or that person that is in your sphere constantly as you are creating things, because knowing the characters that are around you will help you create a better environment or lifestyle for you to excel. Surround yourself with people who can help support, grow, or cultivate your vision. The ability to recognize character or the lack thereof is just as critical on the corporate level as it is in the streets. But since he was in the streets, that is something that he had to be really good at in order to be successful there and not end up in jail like a lot of people end up in jail. Sure, a true hustler can survive that sort of blow. They're always going to figure out a way to make more money, because they know the frequent lurches between feast and famine, but they'd also much rather put the right person in that position and sidestep and potential drama that have to deal with betrayal. And that's just saying, like, there was a position that people have when they're selling a product on the streets, and for a person that kind of keeps eye over things, they kind of know the operation, even though they're not hands-on with the operation. And he's just saying a lot of people just pick anybody for that job, but he was always very particular about that. But he tries to be particular about every position that he gives anybody. And that was just an example. The fear of trusting people due to past experience and relationship gone wrong. Like, there was a person that said he was a pistantho. I don't even know how to say this word. Pistanthrophobia. He has pistanthrophobia. Pistanthrophobia. And he said, when he looked it up, it says the fear of trusting people due to past experience and relationships gone wrong. Like, why it's hard for him to connect with someone that he would want to build a future with, like another woman, why he has more loose relationships than he does have more tight relationships concerning the area of, like, a female that he wants to build an empire with. Malcolm X says, to me, the thing that is worse than death is betrayal. You see, I could conceive death, but I cannot conceive betrayal. Sure, when you share a common experience with someone, there's a greater chance of loyalty and understanding, but it's far from guaranteed. If I haven't been open to bringing new people like Chris and their knowledge into my life, there wouldn't be a second stage in my career or whatever comes after this. In this chapter, I'm going to share your strategies for assembling that resourceful, dedicated, and trustworthy crew that can help you build on what you already grown and create new opportunities. So part of, like, what he does is, like, he brought those loyal people with him from the hood that he could depend on, that were reliable, that had good character. The other part of what he did, and then he goes on about how people only build like that, and that might be okay, but in his situation, it wasn't always okay, and you have to just know about that. Doing things like that for the people I came up with gave me more validation and selling millions of records. At the time, it seemed like a necessary move. Today, I've come to accept that it was one I didn't have to make. I don't know exactly what this was about, but he does kind of go into, like, I brought certain people with me. I'm loyal to certain people, but I've also had to let certain people go because I started to grow beyond what they could offer me in a business relationship, and I have to think about what my final purpose is. And then he also says, I had to hire other people too, like, that weren't from the hood, to get me to the next step too, and I had to learn to, open myself up to those people. I know the feeling very well. Being afraid to cut the umbilical cord in the hood is why I bought Mike Tyson's palace, but at least I had the sense to bring the hood to me instead of staying in the hood itself. I've known a lot of people who made that mistake, and some have paid the ultimate price for their unwillingness to walk away. So he's just saying, like, he's had to cut some people off. But when people say the government killed Nipsey, they're just not being honest or realistic. The government didn't kill Nipsey. Allegedly, a sucker named Shitty Cuz killed him. That's the depressing truth. He didn't kill Nipsey because Nipsey was was a threat to any status quo, and no one paid him to kill Nipsey to protect Johnson and Johnson or whatever. No, Shitty killed Nipsey because he was a hater, plain and simple. He was a snitch, and when Nipsey called him on it, Shitty reacted with violence. He couldn't stand that someone successful and beloved as Nipsey didn't want someone as unsuccessful and untrustworthy as Shitty around. On the street, there just isn't enough space for both success and suckers. And he's just saying, like, you have to be careful because some people don't have the right intention for you and your future, your focus, and your goals. Their intentions are always for themselves. And you have to eliminate yourself from those people because hate is such a horrible thing and it creates a lot of conflict. Demand and discipline. And then you have to require that the people around you are disciplined. And he talks about this too with his crew, like when they used to go on tours and stuff, like there was certain things that he would allow and certain things that he wouldn't allow. Like, yeah, we'll always be together. We'll always stand up for each other. But the one thing that we will never do is have conflict within our group, fighting within our group. If you do that, then you're immediately will be sent home. And he talks about this here a little bit too. Those are some of the positive qualities that your day ones can add to your team, but they can also bring some of the negative quality of the hood, beef, drama, and clashes of egos. To make sure that doesn't happen, you have to first install and then demand a sense of discipline in your team. That wasn't a strategy. And then it kind of goes into a situation where he had to let somebody go because they violated that rule. That's why as soon as G-Unit hit the road, I was very clear about my policy. One guy getting into it with each other, I told them, we're going to encounter a lot of people who are jealous of our success. And if you have some steam you need to let off, fight one of them. I'll have your back no matter what happens. Should I have your back if you end up punching some random stranger in the face. But if any of you guys fight each other, you're going home the next day, period. And that was like his thing. Whenever you find success in life, there will be people who believe some of it belongs to them. And those people get angry at you when you don't produce for them whatever it is that they desire for you to produce for them. And he kind of goes into that a little bit too. Almost 20 years later, I'm still touring the globe, and I've performed in countless countries to millions of people. And recently someone flew me over to do a concert for several $1 million. Not a bad little check for a flight on a private jet, one day's work. But it was also the kind of check that comes only after you've established yourself as a seasoned, profitable, and reliable touring act, the kind of reputation I was focused on building all those years ago back in Philly. No matter what position you're in, when you make rules that benefit the collective good, you need to enforce them. Don't let someone who focuses only on themselves ruin it for everyone else. They can be hard rules to live by, but doing so will always pay off in the long run. And that's just talking about his crew and the discipline that he required of them. And everybody has a different thing that they require. Handle eternal problems first. When someone perceives themselves as disposable, any sense of loyalty will vanish. I believe one of the things that trips up people like Tekashi and Ja Rule is that they grow up on the outskirts of the hood. They weren't from the hood, but they had to be exposed to it. It tricked them into thinking they were equipped to handle situations they weren't actually built for. Jealousy and envy grows very easily, especially when starts getting a taste of success. If you bring a bunch of wolves into your circle, you better be damn sure to feed them. Otherwise, it won't be long before the pack turns on you. Providing encouragement. If you're primarily known as a disciplinarian, the moment when you step out of the role and show that you've had real concern about someone it will carry extra weight. Okay, after our talk, this is about a situation that happened. After our talk, we went in there with a laser focus, which is what you need when you're opponent is trying to smash your face in. And that was his example of a fight where he noticed like there wasn't any real focus in this fight. So he gave the boxer some encouragement to make him refocus on what he was trying to do when he gets in the ring, which is hurt this guy and win. In order to get the best out of people around you, sometimes you have to clearly and forcefully articulate the opportunities you see for them. Believe in them so openly that eventually they start believing in themselves. You can't have a one-size-fits-all mindset when it comes to effective leadership. You need to tailor a specific approach to each single person on your team in order to get the most out of them. Learning to trust again. When you're both constantly walking a tightrope between respecting our street roots and demonstrating our corporate character. It can be scary to open up your life to someone new, but when you pick the right person, it can also be incredibly beneficial. And that's at the end there, he was talking about his personal life. So then I'll pick up on the next 3 chapters. I really like it because the book gives you it talks about his life and his come up, but then the things that he did that made him successful, and he's sharing that with you. And in the introduction, it kind of breaks down the whole book, each little section, and gives you a little preview of what is important in each little section. But then in the chapters, he gives you each little section with examples and illustrations and real life applications that he's done, which I think is what makes the book so appealing and nice. And I really like it because number 1, I want to know more about 50. I think he's an interesting person. And number 2, I learn best through examples, and he gives you plenty of these examples so that you can make better decisions in your business adventures, whatever that might be, or entrepreneurship, or just a desire to be, for me, I want to be debt free, invested, and have a saving account that is thick. So I'll review the book again in 2 weeks, and then 2 weeks after that, and by then I should have some things paid off, and I'll go into more specifics about what my financial freedom goals are. So for right now, it's just going to be easy goals. Set your goals. If you're trying to reach financial freedom, as I am for myself, my number 1 thing is to get debt free. My number 2 thing is to create a savings. My number 3 thing is to create investments for myself. I'm doing the debt free part in these 2 years and the savings, and then in the 2-year mark, I will be investing in property. But I'm setting myself up to to have financial freedom for the rest of my life. That's my goal. So, peace, subscribe, and share this video. I'm just doing a book review on 50 Cent, just covering the first 3 chapters about hustle harder, hustle smarter, Curtis Jackson, but I'm applying it to my financial freedom. Boop. Oh Lord, got some glare. There we go. I'm applying it to my financial freedom, and my goals for my financial freedom is number 1, to pay off debt, number 2, to create a savings, and number 3, to create investments. And in the past, I've had no problems paying off debt, but because I never saved and invested, it seemed like I was constantly going back into that cycle. So I'm changing that to give myself financial freedom. And I'm just going to share my strategy on how I'm going to do that in the next 2 years. And then I'll start talking about something else. All right. Peace. Bye-bye.